Zenobia, the Queen of Palmyra, was a remarkable and powerful ruler in the 3rd century A.D. Born around 240 A.D. in Palmyra, a city in modern-day Syria. She was likely of Arab or Syrian descent, and her name, Zenobia, is thought to have been a derivative of the Greek name for her, meaning life of Zeus. She was married to Odenathus, the ruler of Palmyra, who was a prominent figure in the Roman Empire's eastern provinces. After his death in 267 A.D., Zenobia ascended to the throne, initially ruling as regent for her young son, Babylathus, but later consolidating power for herself and establishing an empire that rivaled Rome. Under Zenobia's leadership, Palmyra flourished and expanded its influence. She was highly intelligent, politically astute, and deeply cultured, with an extensive knowledge of Greek, Latin, and the arts. Her reign is often noted for its military conquests, as she sought to assert Palmyra's independence from Rome. One of her most significant actions was the conquest of Egypt in 269 A.D., a critical Roman province, and the annexation of vast territories that extended Palmyra's influence across much of the eastern Mediterranean, including parts of modern-day Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. Zenobia's defiance of Roman authority came to a head when she declared herself queen of the newly formed Palmyrene Empire, a bold move that directly challenged Roman power. She embraced the title of Augusta and promoted her son, Babylathus, as a co-ruler. Her military campaigns were strategic and ambitious, and she led her forces in several successful battles, earning her the reputation of a skilled warrior and tactician. Her empire, however, did not last long. In 271 A.D., the Roman Emperor Aurelian launched a campaign to reclaim the breakaway territories. Zenobia's forces initially held out, and her troops were able to defeat some Roman forces. However, after a protracted siege, Palmyra was captured, and Zenobia was forced to surrender. She was brought to Rome in chains, where she was paraded in Aurelian's triumph, a public display of her capture and the fall of Palmyra. However, rather than facing execution, Zenobia was reportedly treated with a degree of respect, and Aurelian allowed her to live in exile in Rome, where she is said to have been granted a comfortable life. Zenobia's legacy, however, endured long after her death. She became a symbol of resistance against Roman imperialism and a symbol of feminine strength and leadership. Over the centuries, she has been remembered in both history and legend as one of the most extraordinary female rulers of the ancient world. Her efforts to establish Palmyra as an independent power left a lasting mark on the history of the Eastern Roman Empire and the ancient world. Though much of the historical record surrounding her life is filled with uncertainty and myth, Zenobia's reign remains an important chapter in the history of the ancient Near East. Her ambition, intellect, and leadership continue to inspire historians and admirers alike, with her story embodying themes of resilience, strength, and the pursuit of freedom in the face of overwhelming odds. While Zenobia's reign was short-lived, her impact on the history of the ancient world remains profound. Despite her defeat, her leadership in Palmyra demonstrated the potential for a female ruler to challenge established powers and command military forces. In addition to her political and military accomplishments, Zenobia's patronage of arts, culture, and learning contributed to the intellectual and artistic flourishing of Palmyra during her rule. She is believed to have surrounded herself with scholars, poets, and philosophers, and her court became a hub for intellectual exchange in the ancient world. Zenobia was also a figure who represented the blending of cultures in the Eastern Roman Empire. Palmyra was known for its strategic position at the crossroads of trade routes between the Roman Empire, Persia, and the Arabian Peninsula, making it a melting pot of various cultures, languages, and traditions. Zenobia's rule symbolized this cultural fusion, as she embraced both her Arabic heritage and the Hellenistic and Roman influences that permeated her kingdom. Her reign also marks a critical period in the history of the Roman Empire, which was grappling with internal strife and external threats. Palmyra's brief independence under Zenobia is often seen as a reflection of the instability faced by the Roman Empire in the 3rd century A.D. The empire was dealing with the crisis of the 3rd century, a period of military anarchy, economic decline, and the splitting of the empire into competing factions. Zenobia's challenge to Roman authority, although ultimately unsuccessful, was part of a broader pattern of resistance and rebellion in the provinces during this tumultuous time. After her capture, Zenobia's life in exile in Rome remains shrouded in mystery. There are differing accounts of her fate. Some sources suggest that she lived out her days in relative comfort, enjoying the patronage of the Roman emperor and continuing to lead an intellectual life. Other accounts speculate that she might have died under unclear circumstances, possibly from the pressures of her exile or from the indignity of her public humiliation. Despite this ambiguity, Zenobia's image as a powerful queen persisted through the ages. Over time, Zenobia's story became legendary, and her reputation as a fierce and capable ruler was elevated by later historians, writers, and even artists. Her defiance of Rome was celebrated as an act of heroism and independence, particularly in the context of the Roman Empire's dominance. Her name was invoked as a symbol of resistance and strength, and she became a figure of feminist admiration as she demonstrated leadership and military prowess in a male-dominated world. Zenobia's legacy also extended to the influence she had on the history and development of the city of Palmyra itself. Although the city would eventually fall into decline, especially after its destruction by the Romans, Palmyra continued to be an important archaeological site. The remains of the ancient city, including its grand temples, monumental arches, and sophisticated urban planning, still stand as a testament to the cultural and historical significance of Zenobia's reign. In modern times, Zenobia's story has inspired numerous books, plays, films, and even operas. She remains an enduring symbol of female leadership ambition and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. As both a ruler and a woman, she shattered conventions and proved that power could be wielded just as effectively by a female monarch as by her male counterparts. Today, Zenobia is celebrated as one of the most iconic queens of the ancient world, and her name lives on as a symbol of strength, resilience, and the fight for freedom and sovereignty. As time passed, Zenobia's legacy continued to be reinterpreted in various cultural and historical contexts. In the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, she was often seen as a romanticized figure, embodying both the tragic and heroic qualities that have captivated storytellers and artists throughout the centuries. Her story, especially her rebellion against Rome, was interpreted as the ultimate expression of defiance against imperialism and oppression. This was particularly poignant during periods of conflict in Europe, when many sought examples of resistance against dominant powers. Her influence in Western art and literature continued into the 18th and 19th centuries. Enlightenment thinkers, who valued individual, preserve its ruins have placed Zenobia's kingdom back in the global spotlight. As a result, the story of Palmyra, and by extension, Zenobia's reign, has become intertwined with efforts to protect cultural heritage and to honor the ancient past against forces that seek to erase it. In modern-day Syria, where Zenobia's legacy is an essential part of the nation's cultural heritage, her story is celebrated as an important piece of Syrian identity. Before the Civil War, Zenobia was widely regarded as a national hero, and her reign served as a symbol of the country's deep historical roots. Today, amid the devastation of the war and the destruction of Palmyra, the memory of Zenobia persists as a symbol of national pride and resilience. She is not only a historic figure of the past, but also a point of reference for Syrians who look to their ancient history as a source of strength in challenging times. In popular culture, Zenobia continues to captivate people's imaginations. She has appeared in modern media, including novels, video games, and even comic books, often depicted as a fierce and regal character, both a ruler and a warrior. Her legacy has been embraced in a wide range of genres, from fantasy to historical fiction, where she is often portrayed as a powerful and charismatic ruler who refuses to bow to oppressive powers. Through the lenses of both history and myth, Zenobia's life demonstrates the complexities of leadership, resistance, and the relentless pursuit of autonomy. While her reign ended in defeat, the symbolism of her life lives on, challenging the notion that a person's worth and influence are defined only by the success or failure of their military campaigns or political ambitions. Zenobia's courage in standing against a dominant empire, her patronage of the arts, and her ability to rule with wisdom and intelligence make her an enduring figure in the annals of history. Zenobia's life, filled with ambition, intellectual prowess, and military leadership, continues to inspire the present day. She represents the timeless struggle for autonomy, the power of individual will, and the strength of leadership in the face of overwhelming odds. In every retelling of her story, she remains not just a queen who defied Rome, but an enduring symbol of power and resilience, one that transcends time, place, and circumstance. Liberty and anti-authoritarianism saw Zenobia as a symbol of political autonomy and resistance to imperial forces. Her story was even referenced by revolutionary leaders who admired her stand against the mighty Roman Empire. In the 19th century, during the rise of nationalist movements across Europe, Zenobia's resistance to Roman imperialism was adopted as an allegory for resisting foreign domination, particularly by colonial powers. Writers, poets, and playwrights were drawn to her story, crafting narratives that highlighted her intellectual acumen, beauty, and strength as qualities that made her a unique and legendary figure. In modern times, historians have continued to study Zenobia's reign, examining her life and actions as an essential part of the broader historical context of the Roman Empire and the Near East. As a ruler of a city-state on the fringes of the Roman Empire, Zenobia's rise to power challenges conventional narratives about the role of women in antiquity and their capacity for leadership. Though there are few surviving records of her reign, her story continues to be explored through the lens of gender studies, post-colonialism, and the history of ancient empires. Scholars and archaeologists continue to study the ruins of Palmyra to uncover more about the cultural and political atmosphere of the time in which Zenobia ruled. One of the most intriguing aspects of Zenobia's legacy is her ability to be both a strong, militaristic queen and a patron of culture and the arts. Unlike many rulers of her time, who focused predominantly on military conquest and territorial expansion, Zenobia understood the importance of intellectual and artistic advancement. Palmyra under her rule became a hub of learning, philosophy, and trade, and it was a place where diverse cultural influences could coexist and thrive. This aspect of her reign reflects a broader vision of leadership that went beyond mere territorial control and encompassed the enrichment of society through education and culture. Zenobia also had a lasting impact on the way the ancient world viewed queenship. She proved that a woman could wield political power, command an army, and defend her kingdom against formidable adversaries. This remained an important precedent for later female rulers who sought to assert themselves in male-dominated political landscapes. For many centuries after Zenobia's reign, female monarchs, such as Queen Elizabeth I of England, would be compared to her as examples of strong, effective leadership. Zenobia's image as a queen who stood up against Rome also persists in contemporary discussions surrounding imperialism, colonialism, and the resistance of marginalized groups. In this context, her story is seen as one of the first major challenges to a superpower, and her resistance can be viewed as an early form of anti-imperialism. As nations and peoples around the world continue to grapple with the legacies of imperial control and oppression, Zenobia's example provides a powerful reminder of the strength it takes to stand up to a global empire, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Furthermore, the history of Zenobia and Palmyra is intertwined with the broader fate of the ancient world, especially in light of the destruction of the city of Palmyra during the Syrian civil war. In recent years, the ancient ruins of Palmyra have become a symbol of cultural loss and heritage preservation. The destruction of many of Palmyra's monuments, including the iconic Temple of Bel, by the Islamic State in the 2010s, has brought renewed attention to Zenobia's legacy. The preservation and restoration of Palmyra have become a symbolic act of defiance against forces that seek to erase history, much as Zenobia once stood up against the might of Rome. Today, Zenobia remains an icon of power, resilience, and independence. The memory of her reign continues to inspire people worldwide, especially women seeking to break through historical and societal limitations placed upon them. She serves as a reminder that history is full of powerful figures whose legacies, even when seemingly short-lived, can have an enduring influence on the world. As both a queen and a woman of remarkable courage, intellect, and vision, Zenobia's life remains a testament to the fact that leadership knows no gender, and that defiance against injustice can come from even the most unlikely sources. As the centuries have passed, Zenobia's story has transcended the boundaries of historical narrative, becoming an enduring symbol in modern discourse surrounding female empowerment, resilience, and the fight for sovereignty. She has been embraced not just as a historical figure, but as an emblem of leadership in the face of adversity. Many contemporary feminists and historians view her as one of the early examples of a woman who defied the patriarchal structures of her time and successfully governed a large, influential territory in the ancient world. In addition to her influence on gender studies, Zenobia has come to be seen as an icon of resistance in post-colonial narratives. Scholars of imperialism view her challenge to Roman authority as one of the earliest known cases of a subject nation attempting to free itself from a dominant empire. In this light, her story is not merely that of a ruler who lost a battle. It is a story of an audacious and courageous attempt to carve out an independent destiny in a world dominated by imperial powers. Her failed bid for independence serves as a reminder of the often fragile nature of sovereignty for nations on the periphery of larger empires, and the personal sacrifices leaders like Zenobia made in pursuit of freedom. Moreover, Zenobia's reign and subsequent downfall have been a subject of fascination in the realm of art and media. From historical novels and plays to operas and films, her life continues to inspire writers and artists, often reimagining her not just as a queen, but as a tragic heroine. For instance, in the 19th century, French playwrights such as François Benoit Hoffmann wrote a play about Zenobia that elevated her image as a tragic but noble figure. Similarly, Zenobia's character has appeared in numerous works of fiction as a symbol of defiance against oppressive forces, embodying both the strength of character and the inevitable fall of a leader who dares to challenge the status quo. Her story, too, is often brought up in contemporary discussions about the power dynamics between East and West. As an Arab queen who rose to prominence in the midst of the Roman Empire's dominance, Zenobia represents a crucial moment in the history of the East and West. Her governance of Palmyra symbolizes the intersection of Eastern and Western cultures during a period when the Roman Empire held vast influence. As modern scholars reflect on her reign, they often highlight the ways in which the ancient world was not as monolithic as the West has traditionally portrayed it. The example of Zenobia underscores the rich diversity of thought, culture, and politics that existed in the Eastern Mediterranean and the broader Near East. As a legacy, Zenobia has not only left her mark on historical and cultural studies, but has also contributed to the ongoing discourse surrounding the preservation of ancient cultures. The ruins of Palmyra, once a thriving metropolis under her rule, have become a focal point for discussions about the destruction of cultural heritage, especially in recent years when many of its ancient monuments were damaged by conflict. The assault on Palmyra by ISIS in 2015 and the subsequent efforts to restore and